Boasting Omofaye. It's a Tuesday, the 15th of April. We got halfway in the first month of the second quarter. Welcome to the show. Let's get on straight to the markets. We've got a bit of a mix Monday to start the new week. The Egyptian stock market started positive, roughly around 1% on Sunday, when the rest of the regional markets in the North Africa, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, and others reopened, as well as the Middle East. You can see the index got a little bit weaker, but still the 31,000 level for the EGX-30. The Nigerian market taking it all the way from the top, was down sharply Monday. The banking sector pulled the market very sharply down 2%. Some of the biggest banks like Fidelity lost their shut on Monday. The insurance sector was down by roughly 0.5%. The biggest food giant, Nestle, by market value, down 2% on the day. The BRVM in Cote d'Ivoire was a negative 1.24%, 287.19 for the composite there. The Ghana market was also down 1.2%. So the regional markets in West Africa were all in the red, as it were, the three markets we monitor for you. In East Africa, the Nairobi stock market was 0.66% in the green for the all share index, with some of the news we're getting into in just a minute. Then you have the GSE roared very strongly, 2.67%, the biggest exchange on the continent. That is, of course, the GSE saw the financials and the industrials roar very strongly on Monday. 4.163% for financials. Industrial was up 3.4%. The rand also traded below 19 handle to the US dollar. Take it down. Let's move on and check through the biggest headlines and news coming through this morning from East Africa. Was that deal that the Kenya's central bank has approved 100% purchase of National Bank of Kenya by Access Bank Nigeria. Business Daily reporting out of Nairobi this Tuesday that the Nigeria's central bank has not given approval for that deal that's been cleared by the central bank in Kenya. That's what on the front page, the lead story on the Business Daily newspaper of Kenya, out of Nairobi today. That's one big news. However, according to the newspaper, the largest circulating newspaper in Kenya and one of the largest in East Africa, reporting that the Nigeria's central bank is giving conditions to Access Bank Nigeria to sort out some issues with its London subsidiary and others before it could get the approval to go ahead and take the 100% of National Bank, part of the asset, however, going into KCB. All of that story, you can read up on that. But that's the biggest banking news in terms of mergers, acquisitions, and purchases on the continent as we get into April. Take it to the top. Diaspora remittances for Kenya slows to 2.2%. The growth is slowed down in first quarter, ended 31st of March. Tanzania, however, is inviting Pakistan investors to explore emerging sectors in the President Samia Suluhu Hassan's economy. And Ethiopia and Algeria says they have a deal to boost economic and diplomatic ties, while the one of the top officials in Ethiopia says the GRD, that's the Grand Renaissance Dam, about $20 billion, is now providing roughly 40% of the national electricity of Ethiopia, one of the biggest economy and the second most populous African country around the Horn of Africa. That's about 2,280 megawatts. Let's move on. Get on to West Africa, where the news came in yesterday. Congratulations to Nigeria with the submission of the country's gazetted schedule of tariffs concessions being formally presented to the EFCFTA Secretariat. Nigeria's Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, made those announcements on the official handle of the ministry and her official handle yesterday. You can read up of that. And I just transmitted that document, which is a major step forward for Nigeria as a member of the AFCFTA. In the meantime, the Minister of Finance is looking to launch what they call the de-risking fund for easier SMEs financing in Africa's most populous economy. Dry weather in West Africa. We're still here. We're strengthening cocoa's output out of Cote d'Ivoire, the world's #1 cocoa producer. In the next door neighbor, Ghana is ordering the foreigners to exit gold market by April 30. Yesterday, the Ghana Central Bank released the data for the pricing for its gold coin, which was launched just recently. And finally, the IMF yesterday in Washington released a new global financial stability report just ahead of the spring meetings of the World Bank and the IMF, which is due to start on Sunday this weekend. Keep an eye, look at that report and what the discussions are in terms of how geopolitical risks pose a very major problem for assets pricing as well as financial stability. All of that be in key focus when the spring meetings get started in Washington, D.C. Let's roll that over. Go to Southern Africa. Let's get there and see the tariffs that President Trump's throwing left, right, and center is getting the South Africa's manufacturers to go back to the drawing board and now accelerating, looking for new relationships or trade partners within Africa and beyond the continent. That's the latest as they try the country, the biggest industrial economy on the continent, trying to find new partners as President Trump throws his tariff tantrums around the world and specifically targets South Africa on issues relating to land grabbing and all that. Zimbabwe says it's producing solar panels and lithium batteries as the country moves forward to a path of using its natural resource and beneficiating them, providing the value chain and producing final output. In the meantime, new report shows that Zimbabwe's manufacturers' utilization was down to about 52% last year. That's no good news. From around 56% back in 2021, over a 3-year period or so, the country's utilization of its manufacturing sector went down about half of that. That's no good news for President Emerson Mnangagwa's. Portugal's GAP says it's added about 700 million barrels of oil equivalent to Namibia's oil reserves, while the Southern African country is opening its first green iron plant in Southern African community. Those are the headlines down in Southern Africa. Let's get on. Take it to North Africa, where Qatar and Egypt looking to pursue about $7.5 billion Qatari investment deal. It's a very major handshake in economic and investment terms between Qatar and the biggest economy north of the continent. In the meantime, Beltone of Egypt, the Beltone Holdings, says it's raised $205 million in fresh capital for that company listed on the EGX, while Al-Masor Group is planning $150 million automotive factories launch in Egypt, with, of course, Morocco sitting not too far away with a $14 billion automotive industry. And it's not an April Fool. Of course, it went on social media on the 1st of April. Tesla is not planning Africa's first factory in Morocco, and that's been denied. Although it was initially reported across the Morocco's media, was now being seriously denied. It's an April Fool. Tesla is not looking to build that first factory in Africa in Morocco. And those are the headlines as we get the second business and markets day of the week started. So do enjoy the rest of your day and remember to keep it here on Frontier Opening Bell. Bye for now.